Gentlemen, let's be real for a moment. How many times have you wondered, am I actually giving her the kind of pleasure she craves? It's not something you'd ask your friends over coffee, and you won't find an honest answer in most places online. Because the world of adult entertainment and locker room bravado has fed men more lies than truth when it comes to intimacy. Here's the deal. The way you connect, the way you communicate, and the way you understand her body can make the difference between leaving her quietly unsatisfied or creating an experience that keeps her coming back for more. I want to show you the second path. Today, I'm going to give you 5 medically backed, real-world techniques that every man should know to instantly improve intimacy, strengthen your connection, and actually give her the experience she wants, not the one you think she wants. Now, before we get into it, take a second right now and hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about giving you real, science-backed advice on men's health and intimacy, the stuff most doctors won't talk about openly. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's make sure you never miss content that can transform your confidence and your relationships. All right, let's bust a few myths, and then we'll dive into the 5 tips women wish more men knew. Here's the first myth. Intimacy is about physical attributes and speed. That's the message men pick up from adult entertainment. Bigger, faster, more intense. But in reality, that's not what creates true satisfaction for most women. Science tells a different story. In fact, studies consistently show that for women, technique, emotional connection, and attentiveness are far more important than physical dimensions or how long you can maintain high intensity. Think about it biologically. The female body responds to rhythm, variety, holistic stimulation, and emotional presence, not endless repetition. Yet many men, good men, carry around silent anxiety, thinking they're not enough. And that anxiety shows up in the bedroom, finishing too quickly, getting stuck in their head, missing the signals she's giving. So let's clear the air. You don't need to be different physically. You need to be smarter, more present, and more in tune with her body. And that's where I come in. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Margaret Jimmy. I'm a board-certified urologist with over a decade of experience working directly with men's health and intimate wellness. I've spoken with thousands of men in their 30s, 50s, 70s, who all ask the same question in different ways. How can I be better? How can I last longer? How can I make sure my partner is truly satisfied? And after all these years, I can tell you this. There's a pattern. The men who get it right aren't always the fittest, the youngest, or the most confident when they walk into my office. They're the men who listen, adapt, and apply a few key techniques that work with female biology, not against it. Now, here's what we're not going to do today. We're not going to give you gimmicks, products to buy, or unrealistic expectations. We're going to focus on what actually works, techniques rooted in understanding female anatomy, arousal patterns, and neurological responses. So let's get into those 5 game-changing tips. Tip number 1, master the art of gradual buildup. Let me ask you, when you first get intimate, what's your instinct? For most men, arousal builds quickly, and the urge is to move to full intensity immediately. But here's the problem. The female body isn't built like that. Biologically, women take longer to become fully aroused. This isn't a preference, it's physiology. The vaginal walls need time to relax and expand. Blood flow needs to build in the pelvic region. Natural lubrication increases gradually. The clitoral structure, which is much larger than most people realize, extending internally, needs time to engorge with blood. If you rush to full intensity too fast, her body may not be ready. That means potential discomfort, even pain. And emotionally, it can leave her feeling disconnected, like you're focused on your own timeline rather than hers. So what's the fix? patience and intentional progression. Think of it like warming up before a workout. You wouldn't sprint immediately, right? You'd start with stretch-in, light movement, gradually building intensity. The same principle applies here. Start with gentle, deliberate movements. Focus on shallow engagement at first. Pay attention to closeness and connection. What happens biologically? Her blood vessels dilate naturally. The vaginal canal expands and lengthens. Nerve endings become progressively more sensitive. The natural lubrication response kicks in fully. Emotionally, she feels cared for, safe, and prioritized. She knows you're paying attention to her needs, not just racing toward your own finish line. And practically, you're setting the stage for pleasure that builds in waves instead of fizzling out. When you slow down at the beginning, you create space for her arousal to catch up to yours. And here's the secret most men don't realize. When her arousal is fully engaged, the entire experience becomes more intense for both of you. Trust me on this. Patience at the beginning unlocks intensity later that you can't achieve by rushing. Tip number 2, the power of strategic anticipation. Here's where most men miss a massive opportunity. Building anticipation is one of the most powerful tools you can use in intimacy. Why? Because physical pleasure isn't just about constant stimulation. It's about the tension between having and wanting. When you build her arousal and then deliberately slow down or change pace, her body literally craves more. You're not being withholding, you're programming her nervous system to respond more intensely when you return to what she was enjoying. Let me explain the neuroscience behind this. When stimulation is constant and predictable, the nervous system adapts. Nerve endings start sending weaker signals. What felt incredible 5 minutes ago starts to feel ordinary. This is called sensory adaptation, and it's why varying your approach matters so much.
Here's how you apply this in practice. Find a rhythm or movement she clearly responds to. You'll know by her breathing, sounds, or body language. Stay with it for a bit, then deliberately slow down. Change the angle, reduce the intensity temporarily. Watch how her body reacts. She may move toward you, arch her back, or show clear signs of wanting more. When you finally return to that rhythm or intensity she was enjoying, the pleasure multiplies. Her nervous system has been primed. The dopamine response is stronger. The anticipation made the payoff more rewarding. But here's the critical warning. Timing matters enormously. Don't employ this technique when she's clearly building toward climax. That can feel frustrating or even mean. Strategic anticipation works best in the earlier and middle phases of intimacy to build progressive layers of arousal. Think of it this way. Would you rather hand her a single spark or light a fire that keeps building? Anticipation creates the conditions for fire. One more thing. This technique also helps you last longer. By varying intensity and taking brief, strategic pauses, you're managing your own arousal while amplifying hers. That's what I call a win-win situation. Tip number 3. Dynamic variation is key. Here's a mistake I see men make constantly in my practice. They find a rhythm that feels good, and then they get stuck there. Same depth, same angle, same speed, same position. It works for a while, but then something happens. The intensity plateaus. Why? Because the body adapts. Nerve endings desensitize. What felt incredible minutes ago starts to feel repetitive. This is basic neurobiology. Your nervous system is designed to respond most strongly to novel or changing stimuli. The solution? Intentional variety. Sometimes slow and deep, sometimes faster and shallow. Sometimes pause entirely and switch positions. Change angles. Alternate between different types of movement.
Mix external stimulation with internal focus. Biologically, this keeps nerve endings alert and responsive. When you change the stimulus pattern, you're essentially resetting the adaptation response. Her nervous system stays engaged instead of tuning out. Emotionally, variety keeps her guessing in the best way possible. There is an element of pleasant unpredictability. She doesn't know exactly what's coming next, which maintains engagement and excitement. Practically, variation helps you manage stamina because you're not exhausting yourself with one repetitive pattern. Different movements use different muscle groups and provide different levels of stimulation for you. Here's a framework I recommend. Think in phases. Start with one approach for a few minutes. When you sense her response starting to plateau, switch it up. New angle, new depth, new rhythm, or new position entirely. Read her response. If she responds strongly to the change, explore that for a while. If not, try something else. Remember this principle. Rhythm is good, but variety keeps the symphony alive. You're not being chaotic, you're being dynamic and responsive. Tip number 4. Understand the grinding principle. This one is an absolute game changer, and it's based on anatomy that most men simply don't understand. Most men think intimacy is all about in and out movement, penetration depth and speed. But here's the secret that changes everything. For most women, the clitoris, not the vaginal canal, is the most sensitive source of pleasure. Now, here's what most people don't realize about clitoral anatomy. The clitoris isn't just the small external structure you can see. It's actually a much larger organ with internal structures that extend down along both sides of the vaginal opening, almost like a wishbone shape. This internal clitoral tissue contains thousands of nerve endings. That means when you press your pelvis against hers and focus on grinding motion rather than just thrusting, you're stimulating a huge network of nerves that in and out movement largely misses. Try this approach. In positions like missionary or when she's on top, focus on grinding motions, circles, rocking, angled pressure. Keep your pelvis close to hers, maintaining firm contact. Instead of separating and thrusting, think about staying connected and moving in ways that create friction and pressure against her entire pelvic region. Biologically, you are hitting the most responsive nerve network in the female body. The internal clitoral tissue responds to pressure and grinding movement. The external portion gets consistent stimulation. It's comprehensive stimulation rather than isolated. Emotionally, grinding creates a sense of full-body connection. She feels enveloped rather than separated. There's more skin contact, more face-to-face intimacy, more opportunity for eye contact and kissing. And here's the practical benefit for you. Grinding is typically less directly stimulating for men than fast thrusting. That means it helps you last longer while simultaneously giving her more of what actually creates pleasure for her body. This is the definition of win-win situation. She gets the kind of stimulation her anatomy is designed to respond to most strongly, and you gain better control of your own timing. The key is staying connected rather than creating distance. Think pressure and movement rather than separation and penetration. This single shift in understanding can transform the entire experience. Tip number 5. Presence over performance. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Pay attention. Your greatest tool isn't technique, stamina, or physical attributes. It's your awareness. Her breathing patterns, her sounds, the way her body moves or tenses, the subtle signals she's constantly sending about what feels good and what doesn't. Every woman is different. What worked for a previous partner may not work for your current one.
Adult entertainment doesn't teach you this. Locker room conversations don't teach you this. But her body will tell you everything if you're actually listening. Biologically, tuning in helps you adjust to her unique arousal cycle in real time. You're not following a script, you're responding to live feedback. This means you can find exactly what works for her specific body and nervous system. Emotionally, paying attention shows her that you care deeply about her experience, not just your own. It builds trust. It makes her feel safe to communicate, to show you what she wants, to be vulnerable.
Here's how to practice presence. Before, during, and after intimacy, check in mentally. Notice her breathing. Is it getting faster, deeper, more shallow? Notice her sounds. Are they increasing, changing in tone? Notice her body. Is she pulling you closer, arching toward you, tensing certain muscles? These are all signals. Learn to read them. And here's the thing, you can also use your words. Ask her what feels good. Create space for her to guide you. Most women will appreciate a man who cares enough to ask, rather than assuming he knows. Presence is power. Don't just go through the motions. Be there with her, fully engaged, fully aware. Let me put this together into a clear action plan you can use. 1. Start with gradual buildup. Let her body warm up naturally. Don't rush to full intensity. 2. Use strategic anticipation early on. Build tension. Then release it. Make her crave what comes next. 3. Mix your tempo and approach. Variety beats monotony every single time. 4. Incorporate grinding along with other movements. Maximize stimulation of her most sensitive structures while helping yourself last longer. 5. Stay present. Listen, adapt, and respond to the unique signals her body sends. Practice these 5 principles and you'll notice changes almost immediately, not just in her reactions, but in your own confidence and connection. Now, let me pause, because I know some of you may be feeling pressure. Maybe you've struggled with stamina before. Maybe you felt like you've let a partner down. Maybe you're worried you're too old or past your prime. Let me tell you the truth. It's never too late to improve. I've worked with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who discovered that with the right techniques and attention to their health, they could become better partners than they were in their 20s. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about presence, connection, and small adjustments that make a big difference. So breathe. You're not broken. You're learning. And that alone already puts you ahead of most men. Gentlemen, here's the bottom line. Women don't want a performance. They want an experience. When you slow down, build anticipation, vary your approach, understand anatomy, and truly pay attention, you're not just providing physical pleasure, you're giving her safety, confidence, and deep connection. And in return, you'll feel her desire, her trust, and her passion for you. That's not about tricks. That's about being the kind of man who understands that real intimacy is both physical and emotional. So the next time you're with your partner, don't ask yourself, am I good enough? Ask yourself, am I listening? Am I connecting? Am I making this moment about us, not just me? If the answer is yes, then you're already giving her more than most men ever will. Now, if you found this helpful, here's what I need you to do. First, hit that like button. It really helps more men find this message. Second, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the health and intimacy advice that makes a real difference. And third, this is important, drop a comment below telling me which tip resonated most with you. Write tip 1, tip 2, or whichever one you're going to apply first. I read every comment, and your engagement helps me know what content to create next. Remember, your age does not define your vitality. Small changes create freedom, confidence, and satisfaction. I'm Dr. Margaret Jimmy, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of your health, your body, and your relationships, because you deserve nothing less.